United States, it's already nearly two-thirds of our zero-emission power. But nuclear won't look like it does now if it's to achieve its full potential in anchoring a global clean energy system. This will mean coupling all of the benefits of the existing technology, its zero emissions, its small footprint, and its incredible reliability. Hi, this is Rich Powell from ClearPath. Thanks to the leadership of Energy Secretary Rick Perry and the governments of Japan and Canada, nuclear energy is finally being properly recognized as the workhorse of our clean energy sector at this year's Global Clean Energy Ministerial, the 9th annual gathering of 24 of the world's largest economies to discuss scaling up clean energy technologies. Here in the United States, it's already nearly two-thirds of our zero-emission power. But nuclear won't look like it does now if it's to achieve its full potential in anchoring a global clean energy system. This will mean coupling all of the benefits of the existing technology, its zero emissions, its small footprint, and its incredible reliability with the ever-changing demands of our global energy industry. These new demands will be, first, more flexible generation to meet ever-changing power demand and to balance out intermittent renewables. Second, smaller, highly scalable designs to be deployed everywhere from cities to islands to Arctic tundra to off-grid applications. Third, to a significantly reduced cost profile to compete in tough new electricity markets. And fourth, new capabilities like very high temperatures to help heavy industry decarbonize its emissions as well. Now, there are already dozens of innovative companies building this future, but international collaboration between public and private innovators will be vital to achieve this advanced nuclear breakthrough. That's why this year's Clean Energy Ministerial is an important first step toward this international collaboration. Thanks for watching. Hi, this is Rich Powell from ClearPath. Thanks to the leadership of Energy Secretary Rick Perry and the governments of Japan and Canada, nuclear energy is finally being properly recognized as the workhorse of our clean energy sector at this year's Global Clean Energy Ministerial, the 9th annual gathering of 24 of the world's largest economies to discuss scaling up clean energy technologies. Here in the United States, it's already nearly two-thirds of our zero-emission power. But nuclear won't look like it does now if it's to achieve its full potential in anchoring a global clean energy system. This will mean coupling all of the benefits of the existing technology, its zero emissions, its small footprint, and its incredible reliability with the ever-changing demands of our global energy industry. These new demands will be, first, more flexible generation to meet ever-changing power demand and to balance out intermittent renewables. Second, smaller, highly scalable designs to be deployed everywhere from cities to islands to Arctic tundra to off-grid applications. Third, to a significantly reduced cost profile to compete in tough new electricity markets. And fourth, new capabilities like very high temperatures to help heavy industry decarbonize its emissions as well. Now, there are already dozens of innovative companies building this future, but international collaboration between public and private innovators will be vital to achieve this advanced nuclear breakthrough. That's why this year's Clean Energy Ministerial is an important first step toward this international collaboration.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, short announcement, please. We will start our event in 5 minutes, and before that, we will have 2 pictures. So just a heads up, we will do a picture with the heads of delegation, plus the head of the international organization, and then a picture with the same people plus the supporter of the initiatives. We will call for the picture in a minute. Thank you.
at this year's Global Clean Energy Ministerial, the 9th annual gathering of 24 of the world's largest economies to discuss scaling up clean energy technologies. Here in the United States, it's already nearly 2/3 of our zero-emission power. But nuclear won't look like it does now if it's to achieve its full potential in anchoring a global clean energy system. This will mean coupling all of the benefits of the existing technology, its zero emissions, its small footprint, and its incredible reliability, with the ever-changing demands of our global energy industry. These new demands will be, first, more flexible generation to meet ever-changing power demand and to balance out intermittent renewables. Second, smaller, highly scalable designs to be deployed everywhere from cities to islands to Arctic tundra to off-grid applications. Third, to a significantly reduced cost profile to compete in tough new electricity markets. And fourth, new capabilities like very high temperatures to help heavy industry decarbonize its emissions as well. Now, there are already dozens of innovative companies building this future, but international collaboration between public and private innovators will be vital to achieve this advanced nuclear breakthrough. That's why this year's Clean Energy Ministerial is an important first step toward this international collaboration. Thanks for watching. Hi, this is Rich Powell from ClearPath. Thanks to the leadership of Energy Secretary Rick Perry and the governments of Japan and Canada, nuclear energy is finally being properly recognized as the workhorse of our clean energy sector at this year's Global Clean Energy Ministerial, the 9th annual gathering of 24 of the world's largest economies to discuss scaling up clean energy technologies. Here in the United States, it's already nearly 2/3 of our zero-emission power. But nuclear won't look like it does now if it's to achieve its full potential in anchoring a global clean energy system. This will mean coupling all of the benefits of the existing technology, its zero emissions, its small footprint, and its incredible reliability, with the ever-changing demands of our global energy industry. These new demands will be, first, more flexible generation to meet ever-changing power demand and to balance out intermittent renewables. Second, smaller, highly scalable designs to be deployed everywhere from cities to islands to Arctic tundra to off-grid applications. Third, to a significantly reduced cost profile to compete in tough new electricity markets. And fourth, new capabilities like very high temperatures to help heavy industry decarbonize its emissions as well. Now, there are already dozens of innovative companies building this future, but international collaboration between public and private innovators will be vital to achieve this advanced nuclear breakthrough. That's why this year's Clean Energy Ministerial is an important first step toward this international collaboration. Thanks for watching. Hi, this is Rich Powell from ClearPath. Thanks to the leadership of Energy Secretary Rick Perry and the governments of Japan and Canada, nuclear energy is finally being properly recognized as the workhorse of our clean energy sector at this year's Global Clean Energy Ministerial, the 9th annual gathering of 24 of the world's largest economies to discuss scaling up clean energy technologies. Here in the United States, it's already nearly 2/3 of our zero-emission power. But nuclear won't look like it does now if it's to achieve its full potential in anchoring a global clean energy system. This will mean coupling all of the benefits of the existing technology.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to start. Please have a seat. Good question. A first announcement, the pictures will be taken later on. The pictures will be... Okay, so in a minute. It's all about flexibility. Head of delegation.
So you go first your remarks and then call for the... No, after they speak. After the side event. You mean, right. No, no, I'm from the IEA. I'll be part of the picture here at the front end. Yeah, yeah.
Do we have any other heads of delegation in the room? You are welcome to join the picture now. Okay, I am now calling all the supporting organization, the Canadian Nuclear Association, the Finnish colleagues, WNA, Idaho National Lab. Please join the picture. Distinguished ministers, heads of delegations, Mr. Magwood, diplomats and guests. Welcome to the side event of the 9th Clean Energy Ministerial Meeting, dedicated to the launch of the Nuclear Innovation Clean Energy Future Initiative, the NICE Future Initiative. My name is Denis Janin. I will moderate today's discussion. I have been invited as immediate past president of the International Youth Nuclear Congress, IYNC. IYNC is a global non-profit organization of young professionals dedicated to knowledge transfer and communication on nuclear science and technologies. It is my great pleasure to facilitate this event, and I would like to thank the government of Canada, Japan, and the USA for inviting IYNC and myself to support this initiative. The fact that the organizers invited IYNC gives a strong signal on a key aspect of NICE Future. This initiative is ultimately about the future and the importance of innovative nuclear technologies, such as integrated energy systems. On Tuesday, at the CEM's launch ceremony in Malmö, IEA Executive Director Fatih Birol discussed the challenges we face in keeping pace with clean energy policy goals. Reducing harmful emissions is vital for our planet. We need to get this right for the next generations, and all available clean energy systems have a role to play. Nuclear energy is important in clean energy innovation, especially as nuclear power plants do not emit air pollutants. The NICE Future initiative will address those aspects, and personally, I observe this initiative with great enthusiasm and optimism. NICE Future is a unique initiative from its content, but also setup. It is unique because it's part of the same community. It is not another nuclear-friendly club. NICE Future ambitions open and inclusive discussions, far from dogmatism and based on facts, putting innovation and collaboration forward. Now for today, we have a very exciting and busy agenda with distinguished speakers. Our event is organized in three main parts. We will first listen to the remarks of NICE Future leading countries, followed by remarks from emerging and embarking countries. We will continue with short remarks from the private sector, civil society, and researchers before listening to the perspective of two international organizations. His Excellency Nuclear Energy Agency Director General Bill Magwood will close up our program with a wrap-up of his ideas for cooperation and next steps. Before we go on, three short housekeeping announcements. I'm asked to inform you that the same organizers may record this program for future use. Second, due to the limited time, we will have no Q&A, but I invite you to reach out to the speakers at the end of the event. And we have a hashtag for this event. It's CEM9 Future. And I invite you to use this hashtag on all the Twitter, Facebook, WeChat, and so on we are using. We will now begin with the first part of the session. Remarks by leading country of the NICE Future initiative and emerging and embarking countries. Our first speaker is Mr. Dan Brouillette, the Deputy Secretary of Energy of the United States of America. Mr. Brouillette, you have the floor.
CEM8 last year in Beijing, U.S. Energy Secretary Rick Perry proposed the idea of a nuclear initiative under CEM. It's new, it's forward-looking, and it considers broad global needs for energy and beyond. Nuclear is a key component of our all-of-the-above approach to energy, to using the power of innovation to grow our economies and protect our environment. And so Secretary Perry and I are quite proud of this initiative and the ambitious program that it sets forth. This global effort will make sure nuclear energy has a seat at the table when it comes to high-level discussions about innovation and advanced clean energy systems. It's also a timely initiative, since nuclear energy is an important contributor to global clean energy supply, both as a primary source of clean energy and by complementing and enabling other clean energy sources. Today, there are 449 commercial reactors operating in 30 countries around the world. Globally, nuclear energy produces nearly 1/3 of the world's clean electricity. In the U.S., that number is more than 50%. Nuclear power plants are the world's only 24-hour, 7-day-a-week baseload source of emission-free electricity. Yet despite nuclear's importance, it is rarely considered in strategic planning for future clean energy systems. This is a missed opportunity. And so having nuclear included in the Clean Energy Ministerial will create a greater global recognition of its many, many unique benefits. The Nice Future initiative goes beyond a focus on nuclear energy to reimagine a future world made better by innovation. It reimagines the advanced uses and applications of nuclear technology now and in the future, ranging from energy security to access to clean water. Nuclear energy can be used for desalination, as we heard this morning, and thereby it can help to solve one of our world's greatest challenges. We see a number of exciting possibilities in the area of nuclear renewables integration. Integrated nuclear renewable systems could link an emissions-free nuclear power plant with variable renewables, like solar plants or wind farms, that could allow nuclear power to backstop intermittent generation. Countries seeking clean energy solutions and moving aggressively toward renewable energy would more readily achieve clean air goals by not seeing it as nuclear or renewables, but rather nuclear and renewables. There are other potential benefits for nuclear as well. For instance, wide-scale nuclear hydrogen production by nuclear plants could develop significant synergies between power generation and transmission sectors. Nuclear reactors can economically produce hydrogen for fuel cells in the transportation sector or for grid storage. Nuclear plants could also provide energy storage, and that includes thermal, electrical, and chemical. In addition, new and innovative applications, such as the development of SMRs, could provide heat and power for a range of applications for on and off-grid. SMRs may become an option to meet energy needs of communities that have never considered nuclear technologies, such as those in the Arctic. Yet to play a role in the energy systems of the future, advanced nuclear energy systems will need to demonstrate a successful business case, and we think that SMRs can do that, and Nice Future can develop tools to assist with that goal. Some countries are still undecided about the course of their energy future. Yet regardless of a country's energy plans, the Nice Future initiative has something to offer. It provides a forum for countries to apply experience, insights, creativity, and evaluation tools to consider the right path for them. This initiative is unique. Nothing like it has been done before. So we welcome all of you to this new conversation, and we look forward to working with you on the Nice initiative to create a brighter energy future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Briette. Next, I am delighted to introduce Secretary Kim Rood, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Natural Resources in Canada.
Young professionals and women in nuclear. Congratulations. I'm honored to be here today on behalf of the Honourable Jim Carr, Canada's Minister of Natural Resources. And it's said that the best way to predict the future is indeed to create it. And today, I think that's what we're doing. And I'm honored to be here to launch the CEM initiative with my colleagues that will help explore the role of nuclear innovation as part of our clean energy future. For too long, nations producing nuclear energy have tended to talk only among themselves. But it's time to change that. Nuclear energy accounts for more than 10% of the world's electricity supply and 1/3 of all of the emissions-free electricity. And the International Energy Agency estimates that nuclear generation will need to double by 2040 to put us on a path towards our Paris agreements. In Canada, nuclear energy is an important part of the clean energy mix, contributing 15% of our electricity generation. And it will continue to play an important role in meeting our climate change objectives. Just look at one of the Canadian provinces, the one I happen to live in, Ontario, where investments of $26 billion are being made that will see 10 reactors operate for another 25 to 30 years. This builds on Canada's long-standing status as a Tier 1 nuclear nation for the past 60 years. We are one of half a dozen countries with our own domestic commercialized reactor technology, CANDU, and a full spectrum sector from uranium production to power generation, research and development, and waste management. And we get it. Our nuclear industry is vital to Canada as a strategic asset, a driver of innovation, a source of good jobs, a vehicle for global security and non-proliferation, and a key part of our growing clean energy mix. That's why, for the first time, we are bringing nuclear energy into our broader, high-level conversations on the global transition to a clean energy economy. In launching the Nuclear Innovation Clean Energy Future initiative, we are seeking to challenge preconceptions of what nuclear energy is and its role in our cleaner future. It's time we rethink nuclear energy. The artwork on display, and there is some around the room, as I'm sure you've noticed as you came in, encourages us to go beyond today's assumptions and reimagine what it can be in this clean growth century. Supporting remote Arctic communities, fueling clean transit hubs, powering industry, and again, driving clean growth. The Nuclear Innovation Clean Energy Future Initiative will highlight some of the ways we can realize this potential, including a focus on emerging areas such as small modular reactors, nuclear renewable hybrid energy systems, industrial decarbonation, and the hydrogen economy. Through this initiative, we will start with two key tasks. First, a high-level profile international workshop to initiate broad, cross-sectoral discussions. And second, a report to help bring the world's leading energy policymakers up to speed on what's possible and what is coming down the innovation pipeline. These aims are well aligned with efforts already underway in Canada. Through Generation Energy, a national dialogue on Canada's energy future that Minister Carr convened last year, we heard about small modular reactors and their potential for supporting our clean energy goals. We also heard that a pan-Canadian approach could help guide decisions by public and private leaders, and why our government has convened a Canadian small modular reactor roadmap to co-create the strategic frame of SMRs in Canada. And that's why Canada is investing in research and development to advance this technology. Canada will be looking to highlight our collaborations on nuclear energy when we meet again in Vancouver next year for CEM9, and we look forward to welcoming all of you to our beautiful city of Vancouver, British Columbia. The world of tomorrow will require new approaches and new ways of thinking, with a premium on invention, ingenuity, and imagination. I'm confident that with an open mind and all options on the table, we will not only imagine that clean energy future, we will indeed create it. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rude. Next, we welcome Mr. Masaki Oguchi from Japan. He is a Parliamentary Vice Minister of Economy, Trade and Industry. Mr. Oguchi, you have the floor.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your participation in this side event for the founding of the Nice Future initiative. On behalf of the Japanese government, I wish to express my appreciation. All countries need to tackle the challenging the climate change. In this regard, the decarbonization of energy supplies is a common strategy for many countries to achieve the goal of the Paris Agreement. In such circumstances, it is a fact that there are high expectations for renewable energy as a major source of zero-emission power. In reality, large amounts of renewable energy have been introduced globally with the support of policy, including feed-in tariff scheme. As of today, renewable energy such as solar and wind power needs to be complemented with thermal power. The decarbonization of energy supplies by itself is insufficient. The limited number of countries achieving low carbon emissions at low cost are countries mainly use hydro and nuclear power. Therefore, nuclear power is continuously expected to play a clean energy role, and we should work to realize this. Circumstances surrounding global nuclear utilization have been drastically changing. In addition to the conventional role of nuclear as a large-scale, cheap baseload power source, there are high expectations for further promotion of nuclear innovation to address the increase in public calls for incorporation of other energy sources, including renewable energy, hydrogen production, and heat utilization. In countries with highly deregulated electricity market, it is also necessary to reconcile safety with efficiency. Moreover, we have to work on challenges in the back end of nuclear power in line with the increasing decommissioning of nuclear power plants. To overcome such challenges, all parties should strongly encourage nuclear innovation through the Nice Future initiative as its key driver. I expect this initiative will bring the world knowledge on nuclear innovation together and contribute to policy making for the realization of clean energy systems that solve challenges in each country. I feel encouraged that challenges to nuclear innovation are advancing with the appearance of various innovators around the world, and I hope that Japan will join the line. In Japan, we have had a discussion on making a long-term energy strategy until 2050. We promote nuclear innovation, utilizing out-of-the-box ideas from the private sector, and we pursued the development of reactors with new concepts, including harmonization with renewable energy in line with enhanced safety, efficiency, and flexibility. Last but not least, I hope this initiative will play a role toward drawing out of the nice future, when future generations can jump into the energy and nuclear energy sectors. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. After the 3 countries initiating the Nice Future initiative, we are glad to welcome a representative of a country supporting and now joining the initiative, Dr. Michał Kurtyka, Secretary of State, Ministry of Energy from Poland. You have the floor, sir.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Poland welcomes launching a new CEM initiative on civil nuclear energy that aims to provide reliable and resilient clean energy to the global market by making available nuclear energy for both electric and non-electric applications. It is necessary to demonstrate to the public the role that nuclear energy has currently as a primary source of clean energy, as well as complementing and enabling other clean energy sources. I believe that this initiative will also help spur exchanges on technology development, expanding innovative, clean energy options that can grow our economy and advance our energy security. We think that small, medium reactors, whether producing electricity or electricity and heat together, can play an important role in the future of energy. We will need, as was said by my colleagues, creativity, imaginations in order to combine existing technologies, develop new ones, but also imagine new economic models. High-temperature gas-cooled reactors fit in this description. And we want to put at the contribution the international community gathered around the Nice Future initiative to push these technologies further more. In conclusion, on behalf of the Polish government, I'm very pleased to express the support of my country to the new CEM initiative on civil nuclear energy. I would like also to thank the Nice Future Opportunity lead countries, United States, Canada, and Japan, for this excellent initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your remarks. This closes the first part of our event. I would like to ask the four speakers to stand up for another picture, actually, and Mr. Markwood to join us on the floor as well. Just one last picture with Ms. Rudd. Okay, thank you very much. We are now moving to the second part, dedicated to remarks from the private sector, civil society, and researcher views. But we start with something unusual and also very unique. Secretary Rudd just said we need to reimagine nuclear. And in that sense, we're now going to look at art and ideation. And I'm pleased to welcome to the stage Mr. Joshua Freed, Vice President of Clean Energy, Third Way.
Thank you. And thank you to the ministers for inviting me to participate and for hosting the Nice Futures initiative as part of the Clean Energy Ministerial. So Third Way is a national NGO based in Washington, D.C. that focuses on changing policy in the United States and international policy. And the one metric we have is how do we reduce carbon emissions from whatever sector of the economy we're focused on. And our policies are driven by science and data, and we believe that we need a no-regrets future that embraces every solution that reduces carbon emissions across every sector of the economy that we need to reduce emissions in. In 2014, as we were looking at how quickly we could reduce emissions, we came to the conclusion that not only did we need to maintain all of the large light water nuclear reactors that were in operation around the world, but we needed to embrace and invest in innovation, a next generation of advanced nuclear. What we found at the time was that even in the United States amongst energy policymakers, there was an understanding of what advanced nuclear was. As a matter of fact, this is pretty much literally the only image that we could find in 2014 of what advanced nuclear looked like. And we found that policymakers couldn't imagine a future if there were no pictures of what the future was, and particularly how it fit within the communities we were suggesting nuclear needed to be a part of, or how it would interact with other energy systems. The good news for us was that we were operating with a blank slate, and so we came to the realization that we could help address this problem. So we convened a group of sustainability design and architectural experts, the regulators from the United States, nuclear developers, and renewables developers, as well as industry, and said, literally, sketch something for us. What does our future look like? And we were inspired by how renewables had integrated solar and wind into communities, and believe that advanced nuclear needs the same things. We created Nuclear Reimagined to tell that visual story. So the example here is you can actually have nuclear in communities, that this is an advanced nuclear system powering transportation, a multimodal transportation system in the United States. And the pictures are around the room as well. And we believe in meeting the audiences where there are. In the United States, as in many countries, we have an industrial sector that's based in areas that don't have access to a lot of renewables and want to maintain their industrial base. So you can have nuclear that provides process heat so that we can have a decarbonized industrial sector. And the goal here is to reinforce the pressing climate needs and the reality that nuclear can work in providing a variety of services. Nuclear can provide desalination, which was hit upon several times by previous speakers, and also be integrated with wind and solar. And that the different services and markets that, that nuclear can serve in also can address problems that other energy systems currently can't. So this is an example of what nuclear might look like in Alaska, where currently diesel fuel is about 16 times the average US energy price. So working with Alaskan community leaders, we found out, and we hadn't been thinking about this, that not only can nuclear provide power at a much less expensive rate, but it also can provide a basis for industrial process heat, district heat, and agriculture. And the idea here is that it's not just enough to present data, but it's also to provide the context and tell the story and show the pictures of the future that we are imagining. So I invite you all to look at the pictures afterwards, and thank you very much for allowing us to show the pictures up here.
Thank you very much. Next, I invite 4 speakers to join us on the stage and sit at the table: Miss Anita Rising, Mr. Rich Powell, Miss Shannon Braxton, and Mr. Mark Lesinski. And we will start by the remarks from Anita Rising. Miss Anita Rising is Director General of the World Nuclear Association. And I'm pleased to mention she is not only a board member of Women in Nuclear Global, but also the co-founder and former president. Miss Rising, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor for me to be here to address you today when this initiative is launched. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity, because this launch of this new nuclear innovation initiative, Clean Energy for the Future, is very important to us. We believe that the NICE Future Initiative will play a crucial role in multilateral dialogue and engagement of policymakers on the role of nuclear energy as a part of the clean energy mix, contributing to sustainable development. Today, nuclear energy is the product of 60 years of innovation, supplying clean, affordable, and reliable electricity on a major scale. Nuclear energy now supplies 11% of the world's electricity, being the second largest low-carbon energy source. But this needs to grow, and it needs to accelerate fast. We are already making good progress. In the 5 years from 2015 to 2019, we should see 55 new reactors start in 12 countries, 2 of those countries hosting their first nuclear power plant. It is equivalent to adding nearly 15% to the global nuclear capacity in just 5 years. Those 55 reactors are based on 19 different designs, and 9 of those designs are being built for the first time, with capacities ranging from 27 megawatt to 1,750 megawatt. And we are continuing to innovate with new technology and new ways for nuclear energy to contribute to sustainable development, such as desalination to provide clean water, high temperature for heating and for processes, non-electric and industrial applications, and recharging the growing electrical vehicle fleet cleanly. Nearly every country can have nuclear energy. And to achieve a clean energy future, most countries have to use nuclear energy. IPCC, IEA, and others have concluded that in the most effective strategies to achieve a low-carbon future, nuclear energy plays a significant role. Nuclear energy working in harmony with renewables as part of the clean energy mix, delivering 24/7, irrespective of weather and seasons. The nuclear industry has set the Harmony goal to supply 25% of the electricity by 2050. This could be achieved by building and constructing 1,000 gigawatt of new nuclear build. It's a roughly 1,000 new reactors. This is challenging but achievable target, requiring annual build rates similar to those reached in the 1980s. Nuclear energy is one of the most cost-competitive, low-carbon energy sources, but it needs a fair and stable energy framework. As a co-founder and president of Women in Nuclear and Director General of the World Nuclear Association, I recognize the importance of a diverse and inclusive dialogue, drawing on a broad range of talents and perspectives. The Nice Future initiative will facilitate dialogue and cooperation between all clean energy communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Agneta. We are now welcoming Mr. Rich Powell, Executive Director at ClearPath Foundation in the USA. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. And thank you to the ministers of the United States, Japan, and Canada for your vision in founding this very exciting initiative, and for, I think it's fair to say, bringing together the clean energy family in a way that isn't often the case. There's sometimes a lot of squabbling in that family, and I think that this is a nice reunion. We're bringing all the sides together. So as we heard from Deputy Secretary Briette and Josh earlier in his presentation, ClearPath is very excited about a particular element of this initiative, and that's this idea around hybrid energy systems. So yesterday evening, Shannon and I were lucky to have a terrific conversation on this topic along with Assistant Secretary Garish and Assistant Deputy Minister Kosla. And we went sort of deep into the many issues and peculiarities of this idea of how could nuclear and other baseload clean energy sources play a role, as we see from all of these images, in a much more integrated, flexible way in clean energy systems. And I think at that event and in that conversation, a number of important questions were raised that we hope this Nice Energy Future initiative can bring to light and hopefully lead to international cooperation on. Amongst those questions were, first, how can countries share research and expertise on these systems, given that they'll need to provide far different and more flexible services to the grid? Second, perhaps, especially when we see things like nuclear tightly integrated into urban settings, which obviously would require entirely new visions on how we would provide standards and licensing for nuclear. How could governments work together on harmonization around licensing and standards for these new uses of nuclear that would allow the technologies to move very quickly? And finally, how can countries collaborate on demonstrating these systems, leveraging both the unique expertise that each country brings to this technology and the unique needs for clean, flexible power, heat, clean water that each country brings. So I think this is a terrific beginning. Obviously, there are many questions on the table that we hope that this initiative can lead to solving, and lots of collaboration between the governments and the terrific research facilities that each of the governments bring and industries that each of the governments bring to realize this nice energy future.
Thank you very much. We have mentioned Nice Future is about collaboration, and the next presentation is a joint one. I'm pleased to welcome Ms. Shannon Braxton, who is working at our Idaho National Laboratory in the US, and Mr. Mark Lesinski from Canada. Please.
Thank you, and good afternoon. I'm very excited today to be a part of this launch event for the Nice Future Initiative. You've heard from others on the panel about the significant role that nuclear will play in enabling the achievement of global energy goals. Systems integration offers us the opportunity to maximize utilization of all clean energy technologies, ensuring that our systems are both more efficient in their operation and more cost-effective. Within the U.S. Department of Energy National Laboratories, under the leadership of Idaho National Laboratory and in collaboration with the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, we have been reimagining how we can utilize nuclear and renewable technologies together to achieve increased flexibility in our electricity generation systems while maintaining optimal economic performance by directing any excess energy that results from daily or seasonal variation in renewable generation or demand to support energy demand in the industrial sector and to support further penetration of clean energy in the transportation sector via hydrogen and biofuels. This approach not only enhances the environmental aspects of our energy systems, but also the economic value of our generation assets. Today, we're working directly with industry, utilities, nuclear developers, and energy end users to evaluate the technical and commercial potential of these systems. We have developed modeling and simulation tools to optimize system design and dynamic performance, and we are now moving forward to demonstrate these concepts. First, in a scaled, electrically heated, integrated test facility at Idaho National Laboratory that is designed to emulate the thermal energy input from a nuclear fission reactor that is physically coupled to renewable generators, power systems, energy storage systems, and both thermal and electrical energy users. In the very near future, we plan to demonstrate the coupling of an operating nuclear plant with electrical and non-electrical energy users in regions with high renewable penetration, both for a large-scale light water reactor that could be repurposed to produce more than just electricity, as well as for a newly built small modular reactor planned for initial operation in the mid-2020s. Through the use of advanced computational tools and experimental demonstration, we are showing how this new paradigm will become a reality in both small-scale distributed energy systems and in the large-scale centralized systems. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. I was worried we were going to have to finish each other's sentences here, so I'm glad we're going to speak actually apart. So welcome and thank you, ministers, and thank you to the United States, Canada, and Japan for starting this initiative. And thank you for the great acronym. I like NICE is nice. I think that's very good. So one of the things I think I'm very encouraged, first of all, that we are working towards nuclear being within the conversation of clean energy. I think that's incredibly important. And if there's one thing I think we can all take away from this conference is the fact that when we talk about it, it's not an either-or discussion, that this is an and discussion. And that working together going forward, this can actually improve our chances of decarbonizing our power sources out there right now. So I think that's the most important thing. I think we need to spread that word. So I'm from Canada and the Canadian Nuclear Laboratories, and we're lucky that we have a lot of great direction going on from a government perspective on policies. With the direction and leadership from Parliamentary Secretary Rudd, NRCan in pushing forward, working with industry, our supply chain that's very vibrant, doing renovation now of our CANDU fleet, working with our technology agnostic regulator, world-class regulator, as well as our laboratory, which is currently another signal, I think, in Canada that we're very encouraged by nuclear, that we're spending over $1 billion in refurbishing our laboratory, that working all together that we are creating an SMR roadmap. Policy is important to start. But as Shannon said, and I'd like to echo, the fact is that we have to get on with actual physical demonstration. So we at CNL, like INL, and we work very closely together, we share people. The fact is that we need to actually physically demonstrate going forward a clean energy park. And that is part of what we want to do going forward as well. One of the unique aspects, too, of Canada and Canadian Nuclear Laboratories is our capabilities around hydrogen. And you've heard a bit of a talk about that as well for bulk transportation. A real important matter as well when we look at the carbon footprint around the world, that transportation needs are very important. And the small modular reactors that we're looking at as well, and having our site actually be the host for SMRs in the future would include the capability for us to take that extra energy and develop and also produce hydrogen. Very important, we think, going forward. We need to look beyond the electricity side. We have to look at the heat for production, for manufacturing, for hydrogen, but for other things like district heating as well. So very important. We're very excited about this initiative, and we look forward to rapid development now of actually getting into the physical works as we go forward. And thank you very much.
I would like now to move on to the last part of our event. And I should say, and encourage you all actually to look at those amazing art pieces around the room after the session. Now for the final part, we are welcoming remarks from international organizations, and I am pleased first to welcome Dr. Fatih Birol, the Executive Director of the International Energy Agency.
So, thank you very much, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. A very good afternoon to all of you. As International Energy Agency, we are delighted to be involved with this new CEM initiative, and we will do everything that you would like us to do. We are at your disposal. Because we believe, as I tried to say in the last 2 days, we have so many big challenges in the energy world, environmental challenges, energy security challenges, affordability challenges. We cannot focus only one or two technologies. We are, as IEA, all fuels, all technology organization, and as such, we think nuclear power is a very important component of our energy mix. Now, we have a lot of numbers, the benefits of nuclear power. I will not give them to you because since 2 days I'm giving too many numbers to everybody. I don't want to bore you much. But in the absence of nuclear power since 1950s, if we didn't have them, our climate challenge will be much more serious and perhaps impossible to deal with. Nuclear power not only did contribute to solving our environmental problems, but also for security of electricity supply. It is a very important source of electricity generation. It made many countries self-sufficient in terms of electricity generation. And in many countries, here we have, of course, United States, Canada, and Japan, but many other countries, nuclear plays a critical role in their energy mix. And many of these countries established themselves as the leaders of the global nuclear technology. These are all very good, and one good thing is that when we look at the future as IEA, we don't see any future which is sustainable in the absence of nuclear power, full stop. So if you bring the nuclear power to zero, as some of us may think, impossible to have a sustainable energy future in the absence of nuclear power. So these are all good and nice, but we have some worries, I should tell you that. One of the worries is that our current fleet, the nuclear fleet in the world, more than 2/3 of the existing fleet is over 25 years old. The fleet is aging. This is one challenge. Second challenge is alarm bells are ringing if we don't build any nuclear power plants. Because we have seen that in many countries, if they have decided not to build nuclear power plants, replace the ones that are retiring or shutting down, we have seen the implications of that in their environmental performance, in their electricity bills, and others. So this aging fleet, in a context in many countries, cheaper renewable costs and also cheaper natural gas in some respect makes the life of nuclear power rather difficult even for running the existing ones. So when we look at the numbers, which we do in 2017, for example, last year, the new nuclear builds in the advanced economies are very, very limited. It is something that we really worry about. But at the same time, there is a growing need to have a big boost to nuclear power plants, new builds, and making more of the ones which are already in place. One practical issue that we wanted to bring to all the countries here is the lifetime extensions. I think this is a very critical one, and as we are going to, starting as of June, I will come in a moment, to make many countries aware of the fact that in the absence of the lifetime extensions, what kind of challenges they may be facing in terms of the electricity security, in terms of their carbon footprint, and in terms of the perhaps the price of electricity. This is something that we think a very important issue, especially from electricity security point of view. So from that angle, as I said, we look at the nuclear in the context of all the electricity and all the energy sector, because we have to look at also we discussed since a couple of days, electric cars. We discussed the cooling needs. Who is going to build, meet this electricity demand growth coming from those new demand factors, and without having implications for electricity security and environment. Therefore, we are giving a boost to our work in the IEA, the economics of nuclear power, nuclear policies, and we are crowning this new push and a major event in Paris in June 28. Some of the leaders of our governments already confirmed their attendance, and we are looking forward to have the governments, industry, and the research institutes come together to hopefully to give a push to nuclear industry. And as such, we are very happy to be the part or a supporter of the very nice future that we are going to have. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Birol. I invite you to stay here. And we now welcome to the stage, in addition, Mr. Pig Magwood, who is the Director General of the Nuclear Energy Agency. Mr. Magwood, you have the floor.
Thank you, and good afternoon. Let me begin, because my role is not only to give my own thoughts about this, but also to wrap up whatever everyone else has said. But I think it'll be easier than I thought. But let me begin by thanking the three countries that started this. This was an initiative that was begun when Secretary Perry raised the issue more than a year ago, I think now. Japan and Canada joined very quickly. So the three of you representing those countries, thank you for what you've done to make this happen. And let me thank Poland for being one of the first countries to join into this discussion. And as I've gone around the world and talked to various governments about this, and I've encouraged many governments to participate, we found that there's a great deal of interest in this, because this is a very important issue to many countries. Now, as we always stress at the NEA, not every country needs to build nuclear power plants, not every country will build nuclear power plants. But as we've heard from several speakers, including my colleague Fatih a few minutes ago, as a globe, we will fail on our environmental objectives unless nuclear power is part of the picture. Now, with that said, there's lots of questions that we have to ask. The energy framework is evolving very dramatically. Energy doesn't look like what it used to look like. It's changed a great deal. A big question that often comes up in these conversations is, what is going to be the role of baseload power plants in the future? Is there a role for baseload power plants? How will we decide which technologies to build? What's the relationship between renewables and nuclear? How can we modernize our electricity pricing system to reflect the value of nuclear and other low-carbon technologies? These are very big questions, and we don't have the answers. We have proposals, we have thoughts, we have discussions, but we don't have clear answers. And that's why this initiative is so important. This initiative will bring together some of the best and brightest minds among the countries that participate to think about these policy and technical issues with a fresh perspective. I was very excited to hear Shannon from the Idaho National Laboratory. I heard somebody say our Idaho National Laboratory. I still think of it as being my Idaho National Laboratory, but I guess I need to get over that. To talking about Idaho National Laboratory, which is the nuclear lab in the U.S., working with the National Renewable Energy Lab, the Renewable Energy Lab, to find a way to bring these two technologies together. And that's where I think the commonality in the conversations this afternoon really resonated. Every speaker talked about the need to bring renewables and nuclear together as part of a single framework. And that is a vision that has a great deal of work ahead of it. In concept, makes complete sense. But there's a lot of details to be worked out, both technical details, policy details, market details, and those are things that I think the NICE initiative will be able to take a leadership role, bringing leadership from all the participating countries to make some clear policy decisions and choices. And I want to emphasize the word choices, because as we go forward with this, as we answer these questions, every answer that we have to an important question will present to us a difficult choice. Those who think that this is going to be easy have not been paying attention. This is going to be hard. If you look at all the projections, and I'm one of those people who doesn't believe in projections on energy, sorry, Fatih, I just don't believe them. I think fortune tellers do better than economists when it comes to projecting the future.
Depends on.
It's very clear to me that the only answer that we can do, the only thing we do today to provide for this uncertain future is to keep all of our options open, to have every arrow in our quiver available, to have every tool in the toolkit. And to take nuclear off the table disarms us from trying to solve these difficult questions. So the NICE Future Initiative brings nuclear back into this conversation once and for all, and for that, we thank you from the perspective of not just Nuclear Energy Agency, but really from the perspective of people who worry about the future of the world. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Magwood. Let me conclude very briefly by mentioning that all the information about NICE Future will be on the website of CEM. With that, I would like to thank everyone for attending and all the speakers. It was a nice session and we are nicely on time. Thank you very much.